Wavetale is a perfect example of a feel-good game, with charming but cliched narrative themes and a fun but familiar structure. It's a third-person action platformer with a strong focus on stylish traversal and platforming, some straightforward combat, and by-the-numbers questing. Those with a nostalgic yearning for classic action platformers will likely enjoy it. Those less forgiving might argue it's too formulaic. Wavetale takes place in a weirdly serene, half sci-fi, half fantasy, all post-apocalyptic world, an archipelago devastated by a massive war between the people of Strandsville and the Pause, the cataclysmic destruction of a seemingly unlimited energy source known as the Dandelion, and the resultant gloom. Think broiling clouds of dark fog that trap victims in a near-death state and spawn ooze-like monstrosities. You take control of Sigrid, one of many children who lost their parents during or shortly after the war and the arrival of the gloom, living with her well-intentioned but controlling grandmother. Together, they maintain a network of spark emitters that keep the gloom at bay and allow the survivors of Strandville to hold out. Events kick off when an airship belonging to the Pause is spotted, followed by a massive surge of water and gloom. Sigrid awakens on a small island and makes contact with a dark humanoid shadow below the waves, which bonds with her and grants her the ability to walk on water. It's the first of many mysteries you'll discover and slowly come to understand throughout Wavetale's 7-ish hour adventure, as Sigrid first sets out to save survivors of Strandville, gathers allies to fight back against the encroaching gloom, and ultimately discovers the fate of her mother and the true nature of the Pause. Now, although Wavetale relies on familiar themes and story beats, I enjoyed the overarching narrative and somewhat rushed character development. The storytelling is variable in quality, ranging from fully voiced cutscenes with great voice work and expressive animations, radio chatter when you're surfing the waves, and a fair amount of unvoiced talking head text. Despite the lack of consistency, each major quest usually comes to an end with a new revelation about the source of the gloom, her mother's past, or her ultimate fate. Thanks to this brisk pacing, the narrative provided a strong hook that kept me coming back, even when the gameplay loop grew formulaic. Talking gameplay, Wavetale is all about freedom of movement. So much so, I doubt the developers intended it to be so easy to circumnavigate obvious platforming elements and barriers. There are no upgrade mechanics, outside of collecting currency to buy a new cosmetic outfit for Sigrid, so what you see is what you get. Thankfully, that's not as big an issue as I thought it might be, as the puzzle-like platforming sections evolve, rather than Sigrid's skill set. By default, she can sprint and jump twice her height with ease, while her spark net serves as a multi-purpose tool to bludgeon gloom creatures when in combat, glide through the air in short bursts, or grapple towards clearly marked launch points and ledges. Once you're free to cruise across the waves or clamber up elaborate ruins jutting out from the water, traversal feels even more impressive. Sigrid can surf at high speeds, dive below the water for a short speed boost, charge up a jump to launch onto dry land, grapple to launch rings and half-pipes to gain even more speed, or catapult off jump pads to incredible height. On multiple occasions I found myself completely bypassing lifts, launch rings and grapple points as I clambered up massive structures, using the clunky geometry and inconsistent collision detection. Sure, there's the potential to end up in a few unpolished areas, but that freedom of movement is incredibly liberating. As for what you do with these skills, well, Wavetale adheres closely to the classic rule of 3 approach to questing. If you need to get your grandma's lighthouse up and running, expect to capture 3 sparks. If you need to restore a pirate fleet, there'll be 3 boats to free from the gloom. Want to defeat a giant gloom serpent? Expect to climb 3 towers and inflict damage 3 times. In theory, bouts of combat are there to spice things up, but these sequences feel like an afterthought, with a simple moveset and limited enemy variation. Single enemies are easily stun-locked and quickly defeated, while groups can be cheesed using aerial slams. Longer sessions tend to highlight these limitations, but given the relatively short runtime, increasingly elaborate platforming sections, and the promise of more narrative reveals, I kept coming back. There were only 2 significant issues. Both I'm hoping can be improved with the patch. First was the camera that would sometimes fail to direct me towards the next platforming object during a fast-paced set piece, while at times it would aggressively pull my view towards the wrong object. There's no fall damage in most areas, but this could result in frustrating reruns. My second issue was the throwaway side quests and collectible journal entries. There are some fun time trials that send you hurtling along a course grabbing time-extending checkpoints as you go, but the rest of them boil down to item hunts. That's already a poor choice in a game about moving fast rather than methodical exploration, and it's made worse by the lack of a detailed quest log, or the ability to talk to quest givers again and have them repeat a clue as to where the item might be found. Now, Wavetale is a great looking game, thanks to its chunky, vibrant and cel-shaded style. Character models are particularly impressive, with distinctive designs and humorously exaggerated expressions during combat and cutscenes, even if the dialogue doesn't always sync up. The world, although built using a shared pool of assets, feels vast, and each named location has a distinct atmosphere, thanks to the changing time of day, weather effects, and the ever-present gloom. It also looks incredibly crisp and feels responsive on both an Xbox Series X and S, though performance drops are present on both and more common on the budget machine, at least in this pre-release build. Now, while Wavetale doesn't have the most extensive soundtrack, it uses dynamic music to generate an atmosphere, mark the transition between regions, and ramp up in intensity during combat or while you're platforming high above the ground. From a technical perspective, there's probably a lot to nitpick, but I found the presentation fantastic as a whole. Wavetale had me thinking back to another game published by Thunderful, the Gunk. It falls into a similar niche, offering up fun but slightly janky gameplay, stylish presentation, and a feel-good story with positive messages and a satisfying conclusion, rather than the insufferable grimness and ambiguity that permeates most big-budget releases. If that A, sounds like your sort of game, and B, you're a fan of action platformers, Wavetale is easy to recommend. Sure, the structure might feel a little too dated or formulaic at times, but it doesn't outstay its welcome, and is one of those rare games that makes simply getting around endlessly entertaining. If you've got this far, please consider giving the video a like and maybe subscribing to our channel, as it helps us grow.